Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy, the recap. This week was fun. I had two new friends, met in totally different ways, and both of them pretty powerful. So Jackson Gray and Sheryl Raphael Whitaker. So I'm going to start with Jackson. Jackson is a young guy who found me on LinkedIn and was tenacious enough to reach out to myself, to talk to my husband, to talk to me, and it turned into an interview. He's young, he's learning, he is brand new to the entrepreneurial space, but he has grit. And I appreciate a gritty approach to things because that means that you're not afraid to make mistakes, you're not afraid to ask questions, you're not afraid to try new things. And that's really what Jackson is all about. And then there's Sheryl. Sheryl came into my world because she was in charge of the TEDx experience that I had. And she was just such a delightful human being when I not interviewed with her, but talked to her via email before I even got there. And then once I met her, I knew that I needed her in my world. She is just delightful. And she wrote a book called It Starts with Joy. Obviously, something that makes sense to me. And what she discovered is that you do get some choices in how you approach things, and those choices matter, and how you choose to live in your space matters. So choose joy, right? It makes really good sense to me. And so in both of these cases, these are people who are figuring it out. You don't arrive. And I think that's the part that I want everyone to lean into. You don't ever get there. You get closer, you get more advanced, you evolve, you shift, you change, but you don't arrive. And I think part of the reason that I live in the gap instead of the gain is because I feel like I've never arrived. And so I don't want to discourage you that you have to keep striving. What I mean is the best is yet to come. And if you stop growing and learning and changing, then you do get stuck. And that's just not how I want to live life. So I choose to get better. I choose to find new ways of doing things. I choose to learn. Maybe that's the educator in me. Maybe that's just who I've decided I want to be. But to me, that's productive joy. That's the opportunity to continue to evolve who I am. And when I talked to both Jackson and Sheryl, that's what I felt. You know, Jackson is learning. He's learning how to be an adult, how to live in the space. He's had a lot of very interesting experiences that have made him into who he is, but he's still learning. And I would venture a guess based on who he is that he will continue to learn his entire life. Sheryl, same. She's in a very different stage of life than Jackson, but yet she is still growing and learning and changing. And if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you are too, right? I mean, we're here because we want more productive joy, because we need a little more something that will allow us to enjoy where we are and what we're doing. And we're looking for ways to create it. And so my encouragement to you today, as we recap this week, is you're now 2 weeks into January. January is one of those months. My husband's birthday was this week. Happy birthday, Jason. It's January 14th. And he hates his birthday. Hates with a capital H, because of a couple things. I think he doesn't love to be the center of attention in that way. So I think there's a little bit of that. But his birthday is also beginning of January, and everybody has been kind of partied out at that point. And all the New Year's resolution says, well, we're not going to eat anything fun. We're not going to drink anything fun. We're not going to party. We're not going to, like everything gets stripped away. It's also kind of an afterthought, right? Because you've had all of this build up to the holidays, and then here you are. And you might be feeling a little bit of that right now, not because it's your birthday, or if it is, happy birthday, but because you are kind of in that space of, I don't want to give anything up. I don't want to have to work hard. I just want it to be easy. And I'm sorry, I'm here to tell you life isn't going to be easy. It doesn't just happen that way, but it is something that can get better and that you can choose to be, to quote one of my guests last year, satisfied instead of exhausted at the end of the day. It doesn't mean that you aren't working hard. It means that what you're doing to work hard doesn't exhaust you. It invigorates you. I want to be that way. Am I always that way? No. Could I be? Yeah. It's a choice. And I am working hard this year to make those choices so that when I show up as the best version of me, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I'm very not perfect, but I am imperfectly imperfect or perfectly imperfect. I guess that's a better way to say that. That's actually the name of a company of a friend of mine. And I think it's pretty genius in its name. So perfectly imperfect is what I want to be this year. I want to be intentional with how I approach things, but then I also want to be okay when things don't go exactly according to plan. Right? So today on Productive Joy, what is stopping you from being perfectly imperfect? Are you that perfectionist listening to the wrong voice and constantly saying, well, I woulda, coulda, shoulda, instead of I get to, right? Instead of I have to, can you shift that to I get to? Can you look at things a little differently and say, I am going to focus on X this year? Whatever X might be. Let's pick something that will advance you in the right direction, whatever you have chosen that direction to be. My definition of success and your definition of success wouldn't be exactly the same. And that's a good thing, right? Like that's what I'm learning with my kids for sure, is that how they're defining success and how I would have defined it at their age, not exactly the same. And there is nothing wrong with that because they are uniquely made to be exactly who they are. And so am I. You are too. So let me encourage you to look for the things that make you exactly who you want to be and then lean into those. Don't feel like you have to. Instead, shift into I get to. Okay. So that's today's little mini TED Talk is to recognize that you get to decide what success looks like and you get to lean into it and you get to recognize that it starts with joy, like my friend Sheryl says, and you get to create that joy. Okay, so as the sign behind me says, create some productive joy today. Grab a nugget or two of wisdom that will walk you through this process. And if you need a buddy to walk through this process with you, reach out to me, Christie, Christie at intentionalitygroup.com, or message me on any of the platforms and I'll get it there too. Don't hesitate. I want to walk through this process with you. I want to help you create more productive joy, and I want to get to know what's preventing you from having it or how you're creating it. So don't hesitate to reach out and recognize that today and every day it is a choice for you to figure out a way to turn fun into action.